My bad. I should have had the mic muted out. Welcome to Metaphysical Monday. This is High Priestess of Star Cola Soljay, and we are sitting with Brother Ishmael Bey of First Tribe. Family here, been on the show several times. So I just want to welcome you back, brother.
Sister Soul Jet, so good to see you. Yes, thank you again for welcoming me on your program. So it's so wonderful to be able to see you and catch up with you for sure.
For, for sure, always a pleasure. So go ahead and just I know most people that rock with us, they know you, and people that don't rock with us know you. I mean, you that guy. So but for those who, because I do have quite a few new followers now, and I see people actually tapping in and messing with the content. So let's just go ahead and we also on Calligraphy TV. So first welcome in to the people viewing on Calligraphy TV on YouTube. And for those who will be viewing us here on Denim Design on live stream, now we can't see the comments yet or now, but if you guys want to interact with the content live or interact with us, actually, come on down to YouTube on Calligraphy TV and you can actually leave your comments and we can acknowledge them. So, all right, brother, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Sister Soul Jet, it's so good to see the growth of the channel, Calligraphy TV and the different projects of what you're doing. It's really great to see that growth, and
Thank you. Thank you.
it affects lives. So when you see a platform grow and it's a positive thing, that's the indication that there's life involved and you're
For
saving
sure.
lives involved in that too. So I'm sure it's a labor of love, but it's labor, nonetheless, and it's definitely recognized.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it's been, you've seen me in many different stages. So I give thanks.
For sure, for sure.
We still need to do some scaling up, but that's going to be in time. I
Yeah,
was told by the spirit, you can't have everything all at once,
right. Yeah,
so
everything comes in degrees, everything comes in steps.
that's
Absolutely.
right. I like that.
Mhm.
But
As
go
for
ahead, the
me,
floor is yours. So
no problem, sis.
for
As for
sure.
me, yes, I'm Ishmael Bey, Moorish, historian. I deal a lot with Moorish history as well as indigenous history. Um, I came up through the ranks as far as just coming up through the 5% since 1982. And then from there, I was also a minister in the Nation of Islam. That was going on to the late 80s into the 90s. I was taught by Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Also, again, dealing with Moorish history, a part of my growth. Um, and I'm also the co-founder of the Amir Ra Squad. So shout out to the squad. Just dealing again.
All right on. And
Yeah,
Rob Squad, shout out.
for sure, for sure. And again, just always being in motion and doing things locally as well as just on the national level and trying to push the envelope forward with knowledge and information is something that's very, very important. Challenging academia, putting forth the history so that we can keep on advancing the culture. So I'm a firm believer of that, and just try to make it a testament of what makes me who I am. So that's the phase that I'm in right now, and even between there, whether it's in the academic field, just as important is the metaphysical and the things that make us who we are in the spiritual realm and in the mental realm. This is a part of our growth, a part of our
Absolutely.
expression, a part of
Mhm.
who we are. So that's just as valid and just as important as anything else that we would engage in. So when I'm able to see someone that is a high priestess, someone that is spiritually inclined, someone that just has a good heart, these are people that I love to interact with because it allows for us to both grow, right? So that's why it's very, very important for the
Absolutely.
relationship that I have with you and the relationship that I have with those who are, more inept and more in tune on the spiritual level. It's so very, very important. And that's who I am. That's Ishmael Bey.
Ashe, thank you for that. That's beautiful. Absolutely. And that's important, the piece you brought in with the different components that's important. Because I know I want people to know what I represent. I am a revolutionary spirit. I've been in a part of this community not as long as some of you guys, but over 20 years,
Right.
so long enough. So I don't want anyone to ever think that because I may speak of divine acceptance or speak to peace or speak to, surrender, those components that we need in order to evolve spiritually, that I am no longer in the revolutionary spirit. but it's about us. We need all the components. It's not, that's the problem that we're having right now as a community. We need the component of the militia. We need that. We need protection. We need people to stand by us in these times and things of that sort. We gotta have that. And fighting isn't always the physical aspect of it. Understanding the laws and everything like that. We need the spirituality, you know, all of those components, the politics that surround our community and things, and just to be in the know. We even need the hip hop. We need all of those things because, but I just wanted to add that, I give thanks for you shedding light on that part of it because that's big. So anyway, so what do you think of this climate?
Yeah, let's definitely not make any mistake about it too. The hip hop realm is a part of our identity, right? As we will
Absolutely.
both agree that we're the originators of it. So that means
Correct.
that it emanates from who we are, as a people. And this form of expression can never be contained, or it can't be something that we would just willfully give up to someone else. So
Right.
I'm a hip hop baby, right? You're a hip hop baby.
For
We grew
sure.
up in that realm, and that's a form of our expression, whether it's through poetry, whether it's through the art, whether it's just who we are,
Right.
b-boy, right, at heart. So with that, it's just as valid as any other form of expression. Whether I was in a church and I was singing a hymn, that's just as sacred. And hip hop is sacred to us as a culture. It's how we relate to each other. It's how we communicate to one another in that hip hop vibration. So thank you so much for that reminder and bringing that up, because that's a very valid point.
It's very important because, the acronym Higher Infinite Powers Healing Our People. Hip hop moves. Like Miss Melody reminded us in Self Destruction. Our words are so powerful. We've built on that in great length. But speaking of hip hop, man, like I said, how are you feeling about this climate now? We've been through a lot since COVID. It's been like what, 5 years now?
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
And it's not like everything was just peace. It was just almost like the quiet before the storm. That's what I experienced. Like 2019, 2018. It was just a lot of the quiet before the storm that was before us. All the way since 2012, we already was dealing with like the Trayvon Martin stuff and push forward. So that climate was already, the stage was being set as far as, I'm concerned, or the world is
Agreed.
concerned. Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into it then. There's been a lot going on this year, 2024. I mean, what do you think about the overview of that? I mean, we had the Black Hollywood decline, the Diddy cases. We have the things with the LA fires, and even going before that, many other scandals. Maybe something you can weigh in on, or just it's been crazy.
Yeah, a lot of things were put in motion with that, with the Cat Williams, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
Cat
it was so
Williams.
much
Yes.
more
I,
than just an interview, you
yeah,
know.
Cat
And,
Williams. Right. Let me write
right,
that down. I forgot
we
about Cat.
we
Let me
can't
put him on
forget
the.
that Cat. He had a compass on his emblem, his logo that he had on his chain. It was a compass, so that east, west, north, south. He was letting you know that you had to navigate through a lot of things that I'm going to be opening up in this interview. I'm going to put a lot of things in motion. And with that, it really does open up portals and a lot of things that need to be addressed. And he was just putting out that disclaimer about this is the effect that you're about to get. Him not knowing that it was going to be the most viewed interview on YouTube ever, but him predicting that and knowing what he was about to put in motion. So that's not to be underestimated, that this brother was able to identify it, make it happen, and then see it manifest, because a lot of things had to be addressed, and he was in tune and on time. And it's on us, to make sure that we're prepared for a continued tsunami that took place for 12 straight months, carried right over into 2025,
Right.
and
Right.
did not miss a beat, even bringing back a president that was already voted out,
Come on. You
only
know
for him to come back in. So it hasn't stopped, right?
this is definitely time for us to be sipping our tea, us gods. Man, that was crazy. He reminded me of the part in the Bible that says he once was, when it says, and the whole world wandered after the beast. He once was, now is not, but will be again. And even had the wound on the head. When they talk about the wound on the head, and remember he had some type of he got shot or whatever at the
Yes.
so that's been pretty wild. I never thought in the history of our life we would ever see anything like that. It's almost like, damn, this is Trump's America.
Yeah, and it's the war that's going on. It's different kind of wars that take place. There's a war of propaganda. There's physical wars that take place, and a lot of things that need to be addressed. So in that, again, when those portals do open up, it's on us to be prepared on the spiritual and the mental level, so that we can then navigate and do what we need to for ourselves and for our loved ones. That's very important.
That is important. So how do you think since we are on that, before we go to something else, we were talking about the first thing with like the Black Hollywood decline. What do you think? How do you think that that's going to affect us as a hip hop culture? And like, do you have any type of maybe hypothesis of how this might um could end? Or not even end. Because life is a never ending circle. But as far as where we evolve into,
Yeah, I do see. And in truth, I kind of like the direction that it's going, as in there was a lot of the older, um, more seasoned and more experienced hip hop artists who are not putting a limit on their influence. There used to
hmm
be a time where basically 40 to 45 was a kiss of death if you were a hip hop artist. You was this old head. And now, yeah, Unc is just Unc, and he just out here on the back somewhere. We got this now. Sit in the back seat,
yeah,
Unc.
yeah,
Now,
still writing their music too.
you feel me? So now,
Come on.
those that limit isn't there. Number one, because the audience has grown with those artists. So if I want to go support E40, we can go and enjoy that show. Or if I want to see an artist that I want to meet or enjoy, we are now meeting as peers. I'm an
Right.
older individual. You're an older artist. We're all
hmm
coming together in unity and having a good time. That's grown folk stuff.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
young folks, y'all ain't going to be able to relate to what we do. But for eldership and for guidance, that allows for that next generation to go to Unc and get that information and that knowledge. How did you do this? How did you set up that company? How look over this contract for me, Unc? How am I getting jerked? Because
Right.
now we can have those conversations in those spaces. We have enough
Right.
OGs who've been in those rooms,
hmm
gone through it, and they can now reach back to help that next generation and make it a little easier. And I'm seeing the respect is starting to come back. There was that time where there wasn't a respect, but I'm starting to
Right.
see that now.
And also, like, I'm seeing that a few of the artists that survived during the era when there was mumble rap and just all of this different, when the rap was kind of coming to a decline, um, like really, the people like the J. Cole's, the Kendrick Lamar's, and a few others, even I gotta even say Drake, at some point he had it where, he makes positive music for the most part and stuff like that. I know he did kind of jump genres just to stay relevant, but for those that stay true to it. So what I'm, and I wanted to, we might as well go into the Kendrick Lamar thing, if, we might as well, uh, I just like him because I feel like he speaks to the Gen X. He even made a statement on the show last night. This is the Gen Xers, or this is for the Gen Xers, or whatever he was saying. But it kind of marries because obviously he's younger than us, and you come from a different generation. And I had, the '90s. We were all in that, and then it's like millennials and the younger generation still respect his pen and respect his music and stuff, and he kind
Right.
of bridges that gap because even my mom and dad like Kendrick Lamar, and they're in their 60s. So to me he reminds me more of that Tupac feel, because my parents like Tupac too. I don't know, he just has that feel of it's fun. It is political, sometimes it's thought music, but it's also fun, bringing back that element of dance, and
Yeah.
just I
He's
think it's a good thing.
he's tapping into an older generation that does relate to the older. He has an older soul, I think. So it's not uncommon for him to use an Al Green sample or to use those samples and tie it into the sound or what he wants to express himself with. He merges himself with the generations like the Tupac, but he also taps into the soul era, right? In the way that it's being expressed. So something's going to resonate as far as when you hear those old chords and you're hearing those that soulful riffs that are coming through. That's like, oh, I like that young man right there. He good, right? They can relate to that, and
And even that gangster
it's like
element of it is fun, you know, like it's very Bay. I mean not Bay, California, period. And it just has that funk element to it. And I think that's probably where a lot of the inspiration comes from because even like some of the other rappers, like what's his name? The guy he's like a blood, but I can't think of his name. YG. He kind of got that old man's, flow too, but they younger, you know what I mean? So I kind of
yeah.
like that aesthetic. So what did you think about we've been hearing a lot about this first off just the Kendrick and Drake beef in general, which is leading us to kind of where the Super Bowl,
Yeah, I
you
think it
know.
was needed. I, you know, being in hip hop, you know that battle is just a part of it.
It's part of
For
it,
you to
yeah.
really earn your stripes, you have to put your skill against someone else. Drake opened that door and challenged, Kendrick, and the challenge was answered. And it's good to see a clash that took place, and it's good to see that violence was not involved in it. It was a skill check, and it was needed because Drake is a representation of the industry, specifically where it was about a year ago. And oh, what a difference a year makes. Because just a year ago, you was challenging a man who wasn't calling you out,
Right.
but you were saying that you were as big as the Super Bowl. That was just 12 months ago. So now you went from big as the Super Bowl to basically being on ice and the opponent that beat you performing at the Super Bowl. So,
That's
just the
crazy.
irony was just really, really amazing. And it was necessary. A change of the guards was needed because hip
Absolutely.
hop was going in a direction that was just beyond getting out of control. It had to
and
get
and
reeled back in.
and Drake is he needed to, like, to me, to pump the brakes after a while. I mean, you know how humans are. We champion the hero, but then after a while, some people want to see the hero fall because it's like, damn, he's winning again. Like, and it's just like he doing it off other genres. So like, when do your expiration date? Not even saying he has to expire, but just even where he was in his evolution, and that's probably why he getting the P foul type of labels and shit because he's still, operating in this immature space and almost dummying people down, dummying the culture down, so I think it was good. And also, I don't want to, I know I'll probably get some backlash for this, but I just think he's kind of arrogant. And I know this is probably going to be touchy, but I know this is the land of immigrants and slaves and all these other things, but he just too cocky to me. In my California, up in our California, just period. It's almost like he does a lot of disrespectful things, and I know it may be part of the trolling. And it's almost like, who the hell are you? I don't know. I'm just kind of sick of his shit. With the whole, I don't know. I'm just to a place where it's like it was much needed, like you said. But so, what did you think of the? Did you have anything to say on that? But
About Drake, about what he
yeah,
about
or
he
anything
represents.
with Drake and just his whole. I mean, if not, we can move on to the Super Bowl and just,
Okay, well,
like.
I'm glad he got taken down. I'm glad he got taken down. I think that he got way beside himself. He got out of pocket. He did. You're on a probationary period with us as a culture if you're not really committed to the culture, and we and
Right.
we and we can tell who's kind of on the vibration and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
He had a whole
Absolutely.
career before he became Drake the rapper. He was Jimmy the actor, and he was,
Degrassi.
the little Yiddish kid running around from Canada. So since we already knew you before you were a rapper, you were on probationary period, right? So you was
Right.
slinging N words around real loosely. You was kind of moving in a space where you was feeling a little comfortable, and you was still kind of on probation. And he needed a reminder of that. And nobody's above, reproach. And he needed to be reproached because he was out of pocket, running. He was a sex symbol, so he left a lot of broken hearts and a lot of enemies from men who
Absolutely.
A lot of haters,
He
right?
be he be back doing.
Right. So a lot of people were waiting for your downfall and just waiting for the right
Absolutely.
person to kind of put you in place, whether it was Pusha T or whether it was somebody else. He found the right one. So, like I said, a change of guard was kind of needed, and that's what we were able to witness over the last like 12 months specifically.
Yeah, you were pretty vocal about those lawsuits. I mean, not the lawsuit, but his Drake's pettiness. Like different little things he was doing. I mean, it was funny. You
Yeah.
kept it, you kept, you kept it going. So, there's been a lot of different opinions about the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl show and everything, and I'd like to tap into that. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask too. But so, what did you think of the Super Bowl show? Like the setup. Just shout out to
Oh, no, this is
Katie
a
Lane.
conversation.
I
This
mean
ain't no
PG
interview.
Lane.
This a conversation. This ain't no interview. So let me ask you,
Okay.
from the metaphysical side of things, how did you kind of view, first of all, the layout of the field? I saw it was like a PlayStation or like
Yeah.
a game. It was like a game.
Yeah.
And then what were some of the symbols that kind of stood out to how you would see it through your vision and your spectacles? How did you see that?
Well, of course, the first thing that stands out is the colors. I mean, and again, I'm just finding out about PG Lang. So shout out to PG Lang because he did his thing on the whole stage setup, and that's a brother. So I want to just, give him his flowers. And this is Happy Negro month for those that
Right.
celebrate that, because it's a lot going on. We're talented people, melanated people. So um the first thing that stands out is the colors. Obviously the red, white, and the blue. We know that Kendrick, being from Compton and LA and all of that, we know what time it is, even with Top Dog and his background and stuff like that, being a bounty hunter, Blood, one of the co-founders actually. Um, hey, so just that, I like that they did it smooth. I thought they would might have threw bandana in, but I thought that would be too controversial. So I like the aspect of it just being really nice, jogging, suits that can dance in and move in, but it had the solid colors where we know what those things represent, and then
Yeah.
also the nation's colors. So I thought just that whole thing. I was thinking like maybe he should have wore stars, but maybe not. I understand the white, the purity of it all. The red is the blood. And what does the blue represent again in our flag? I forgot.
I mean, like the blue stands for like the liberty itself, the
Oh,
liberty.
Liberty.
Hmm.
Yeah. So just all of those components and stuff like that. And what is it about red, white, and blue you think that just, because it kind of we see it a lot. We see it with the police. We see it with the gang culture, especially in our era, the 80s and the 90s. That was real big. And we see it with America, the blue side, and the Democrats and Republicans have the red and blue. What do you think that's about, or how that may tie into um, the culture?
I know that it's a natural symbol. Before America had chosen the eagle for its symbol, they were going to choose the turkey. I think that was like what Benjamin Franklin and were trying to push, because the neck of the turkey is red, white, and blue.
Okay,
Certain
okay.
breeds and stuff. So it is something that's natural, as far as a coloration, a natural coloration.
Hmm.
And it can be seen even through South American culture, ancient, indigenous culture, which again is the origin of how this government is set up. It's patterned after the Great Law of Peace through the Iroquois Nation in New York, and the different Iroquois nations, the Mohawks,
Mm,
because the Onondaga, etc. So it's a natural expression of indigenous culture, of government, so it seems like it was a natural correlation as far as the coloration. And for Kendrick to be, he's very thought provoking. So
right,
he wants to not just use the moment for sound, he wants to use the moment and merge it with protest, or merge it with a message. And
right.
even within that message, he's thought provoking enough to put Easter eggs in there for you to pull out what I'm putting down.
Absolutely. It was a lot of things. Even the way he kept dividing the flag and stuff, the way they were moving. Speaking of that division, I've seen the ancestors dream through that. because we're here. You know, a lot of people talk so much bad about the ancestors, but if it wasn't for those revolutionary spirits and even the spiritual components that our ancestors endured, you know, we're here. So that means somebody survived, you know. I mean, and also just it speaks to me the marriage of a more awakened Black America, or just an awakened American, a nation, period. Um,
I
it's
only
deep.
saw black dancers. Did you see
Mhm.
anybody else?
No, only Black. And first he brought out the males and then the female components.
Very much needed, but very rare.
Hmm.
Very rare. So I think that was by design. I think that when you realize that the president of the United States is in the audience, they're at the Super Bowl. This is your chance to again put forth your moment of protest as well as a message. Now, Donald Trump went on record about a month ago saying he likes "They Not Like Us." He put the tweet out. He said he listens to it over and over again, and that
Probably, and he probably got his thoughts like, you know, against other countries or whoever. They not like us, you know. I
he,
mean,
he,
it's,
he was exactly. He's
you
like, because
know.
those Canadians are not like us. We're American. He called it an American song. That's what he said, right?
I love it. I love it. You know,
Right.
I
And again,
love
it's
it.
all the irony because there's layers to the message, right?
Hmm.
And there's validity in that. If you're looking at a Canadian artist that is the ops, right? You do want to put that message that, hey, you're over there, we're over here, right?
Yeah,
So
you can't sit with us. We
there's some
let you
truth
sit
to
with
that,
us. We
right?
took your past back, you know. But you know, but what do you think about the permissibility? Is that a word?
I'm with you. I understand what you mean.
Is that ebonics or is that a word? But the permissible energy that the government here in America has allowed from the protests during George Floyd. And what I mean by that is we were in the middle of a pandemic. And for them to speak on curfews and how deadly this virus was and everything, they allowed protests. They were actually present. And that's people all gathered up together and things like that. Even in that period, we saw different things like Nipsey, his era, and him passing away, and a real big deal being made of his funeral. The same with George
Yes.
Floyd. He had like two or three funerals. I mean, this was like major stuff. And we're talking about a gang member, even though he got money and all of this now, who's proudly in the blue. Yes, spiritual as well, spiritual mother, beautiful mother. Um, but it was just odd that they're allowing this type of energy. And I mean, I don't know if it's just because the world's just changing or if it's really a message in that, because it could also be metaphysically. They may not be able to stop it because it's just so embedded in such a demand for it. You know, even with Kendrick and like I said, even YG and just different ones to, you know, and I remember like in Contra Costa County, that's Coco County. Shout out to Coco County in the Bay or in the
Okay.
East Bay. You know, people like Tupac and Lil Wayne and different people like that were actually banned from coming to Contra Costa because of the energy that they bring. So with Lil Wayne, they, you know, they blocked the Caldecott Tunnel going, you know, into Oakland, and they were doing donuts, and it was such a uproar from Oakland to Concord. They said that Lil Wayne couldn't come anymore, and you know he also is a part of gang culture. Birdman, I mean, so many at this point, you know, especially with Chicago in the mix, and just so much. Just is always gang culture has always been a part of hip hop. So
Yes.
how relevant are, you know, how you talk about, we talk about Hollywood sometime and you'll say, but that's still our people, regardless to, you know, how some people will be like, we talk about these people like they're not human or don't have the blood that we have or just things of that nature. But what about gang culture? How relevant are they and what that even symbolizes to us just as a community on a collective level, not just, you know, the people who actually were in gangs are, you know,
Yeah. I can't see them as any separation of who we are and who makes us who we are. You know, every gang member is somebody's cousin.
come on.
Every
Yeah.
gang member is somebody's loved one, son, father, sister, connected to somewhere. There's an interconnection. I'm gonna have cousins that are in Chicago or Watts or wherever these different locations are, right? They're our family. They're connected to us, and we are them. So, and we're all one step, well, not all of us, but most of us are one step away from street life and street culture. We walk into these cities, we have an awareness about us, and we understand that we are them and they are us, right? So yeah, there's absolutely no separation from that. Um, Again, me being a student of Dr. Khaled's first location that he would go to in the city was on the block, because he understood that having that connection are the people that we want to bring into the mosque, and these are the connections that we want to move in that space of, right? So to be aware that gang culture, or so-called gang culture, as being a part of who we are, it's as natural as the air that we breathe. So yeah, it's definitely, it's who we are, by God's grace.
Absolutely. And just even the infrastructure, as far as if there are gangs in our communities, then we're all affected by it, for the good or the bad. Whether they're gangs that do things for the community or look out for the people or still have respect, or they terrorizing it, we still had an experience regardless to how it played out. And I remember it was times when when cars would drive by slow. And I mean, I spoke about this when I did the one with brother Ryan, and we talked about him. He was a Crip from the Los Angeles, from Los Angeles back in the day, and now he's a poet, and he's given his life to Christ. That's the path he's went on after coming out of the gang culture. So shout out to him. But it just, I remember those days when we were like ducking and running, and because we just children, and it was just crazy. I remember, but I got to speak to the power of the game, because they're a power in their own right. I remember I mean, I'm getting chills talking to you about it, but we would just the fear that they would invoke, like when we would go to like a place like Disneyland, and these, I mean, they got children, they, like you said, they have family and all
That's
of
right.
this, and they'll be with their rags on and stuff, and it'd be a gang of them, and you'd be like, dang, like their presence is there, so it's always respect, like right off the cuff. And I mean, they also influence hip hop as well. They influence the dance moves. When I see bandana, I think of the native. I think of the aboriginal. I think of that tribal aspect when I see the
The tribal
dance movements,
aspect,
and
right?
and I feel chills sometimes because I feel them. And I know we could be a bit misguided in turning it on ourselves, but but that energy is powerful, and we are the world. I always have to go back to that, because people try to compartmentalize people, and this one is this way and this way is no different than colorism and things like that. But I'm glad that you spoke to that we all have family members, our sons, our daughter, or even daughters, the girls too, you
That's
know
correct.
and they count. They count, they matter, everybody matters. It just,
That's
and
correct.
somebody in the game could see this video, and it could plant seeds in them too, that is respect, but we can still redirect the energy, like LA has done, and different ones, that even Chicago's pushing peace right now, you know. So you think it's valid for them to have that presence?
I do, and I also respect the fact that there's codes and there's rules involved. If you
Right.
are a civilian, then stay in civilian business and don't get into gang business, right? Because there's codes and there's spaces that you're supposed to move in, and it's respected on both sides, right? If
Absolutely.
I'm trying to portray something, then there's certain places I should not be, right? And vice versa. If you are in a certain kind of a culture, there's going to be certain things. Whereas if you pull up and I see you throw the sign, and I can either throw the sign back, or I can identify who I am.
Right.
Because you could just be
Right.
walking down the street minding your own business. Somebody will pull up slow on a block, 3 or 4 deep in the car, throw a sign, and how you going to reply? My reply is, "What's up, bro? 5%."
Okay. Right. Right. Absolutely. And it's the
Civilian,
same with
cool. They probably even
same
catch
with
the accent. He from New York. He ain't from here. And keep
right.
it moving. And
Keep
it's
it moving.
no harm, no foul.
And it's
Right?
the same with the beads. So in that sense, even speaking to that, when I was speaking to the revolutionaries, and that everybody's needed, we've always, no, everybody's not going to get along all the time. War is actually part of the will. I
Right.
don't want to get people to hear me wrong when I say the will of God, because I'm speaking to WHEEL.
Yeah.
but also the will of God, even biblically, it speaks to a time for war, a time for peace. So these things is a part of just humanity, and sometimes war move things, it changes things.
Correct.
So even with the beads, I met my teacher that took me on, helped me evolve to great heights in what I was in my field of study, of E5 at the time and things like that, through the beads. We worked together in the call center. We recognize each other through the beads. So he's looking at me and I'm looking at him. So it is that symbol of recognition and things also.
Exactly. And would you not know the difference if you were to wear certain colors in certain parts of town? Like
Right.
as a civilian, would you not invite a certain kind of energy if you
Absolutely.
were to wear a certain kind of a thing? Or if
Yeah.
you know that you're in this side of town and you are in that type of atmosphere, you can be inviting that type of energy, right? So
Frequency.
again,
Frequency.
just as they have codes and guidelines, you
Hmm.
respect the codes and guidelines so that everybody can move in peace. If you come in peace, then don't dress like X, Y, and Z, because you ain't looking
Right.
for peace if you know if you looking for war, right?
Right.
And so we understand that the worlds that we kind of move in, that there's rules and there's guidelines that we are supposed to respect.
Right, certain codes we have to adhere to. Yeah, that's why it's times when if I don't want that attention, I won't wear my beads, or I'll put my beads in instead of just having them out. Because if they're out, you that's your flag. You basically telling people what you represent and what you stand for. Just
Right.
like with Rakim, when he got Dapper Dan to make his coat, and one of them had, Eric B had what he had, but Rakim went to the 7% with it. You know what I mean? He had the big seven. So now everybody
He
know
had
what
the
it is
style,
you,
right?
huh?
He had the emblem, he had the
Yeah,
logo.
the emblem. Yeah,
Right.
the emblem. So they know this is what I represent. And it's kind of gangster, no matter what it is, whether we're 5%ers or it's E5s, it's gang, it's whatever it is. When you even the Mexicans, they firm in it. It's this is gangster. It's showing you like this is the stand. Even the Afros, in some places, they automatically look at that as you taking a revolutionary stance from what's the norm and what
It's an
society
indication of
deems as.
soul. That's
Hmm?
right. Hmm.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
It's an indication of soul.
Of
When you
soul.
see when you see the afro, when you see the expression, when you see there's an energy involved, and it's a representative of soul.
And there was times when I don't want to wear it. If you see me wear my hair in all kind of ways, I'm about to change it up in a minute. But it's a time when I didn't want to wear it in certain spaces because of the energy that it evoked. But I said, nah, you got to just do your thing. And then, but some spaces I didn't want to wear it in. Just like when I was in the corporate world, still working in real estate. Sometime I would wear wigs or straight the stringy wigs and the weave and stuff like that. But I remember we would go to Roombas or like to Sabar parties, like African parties. Everybody in there wearing dreads and, fros and stuff. And I would always feel embarrassed, like, damn, like I'm shrinking, like, because I know that that's kind of out of, it doesn't even feel good. It just felt kind of like everybody looking at me like, what you doing in here? That stringy hair in your head, whatever, right? So, but so what do you think about America having this acceptance? It seems like more of an acceptance of gang culture in the mainstream.
I think it's for a lot of spaces in America, it's a world that's very fascinating to them. They see that it's a vibration that resonates with black people, and they're very fascinated with black people. They like to know how we think, particularly like white people. They're very curious people. They're very peculiar people.
Absolutely.
White people are very peculiar.
To be
And
honest, I gotta give thanks for that part because that's how we know so many things because they write everything down, they document it, and
they nosy.
they
They
want to
nosy
know.
as
Yeah.
hell. So they for them it's fascinating. How do they do that? How do they relate? They all know the song and they all seem like they're all moving in the same direction. What are they doing? Right? So and for us, when we see it, we recognize it. And some things will tap into that we don't even predict it. It might be just one certain kind of a person getting killed, and then all black people get on code and be like, yeah, we boycotting this. So okay, it is what it is. The word that went out, right? And we all just move in that united body.
Isn't that amazing?
It
how
is
we can fight each
experiment.
other, but we get on point like it's a spiritual force. When you ask about that metaphysical component, like a spiritual force is moving through the
Yeah.
people, because you know how we get, even in the projects. Someone I seen a girl, she wanted to get the people, the troops rallied up. So she got her little squad with her, and they had, it was a grown woman that had jumped on one of the girls out there because she was like, she had beat up a high school girl and she was only in middle school. So the grown women jumped the little girl. I used to work in the case program, but this is in San Francisco, in Hunters Point.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hunters Point. Um, but the girl was just screaming, like she calling out, "Hey, they did X, Y." She going crazy, and as she is screaming this stuff out, and they got they sticks and they bats and stuff, it's just gaining momentum. Everybody's just, and it was like that when we were kids. When I used to hang out in the bricks,
Yes.
Washington Manor. You, especially if it's a family member or somebody that you tight with, it's like one person get the screaming and hollering, and it's a field of about 50 people, So can you imagine that on a massive level, like with music and just us being in the media? I think you're right.
That's
It's a
the
frequency.
government was always afraid of that. We got an indication of that. It was like about a year ago when they had the fight at the ferry, and the brother threw the black hat up, and it was kind of like the bat signal where everybody just like, okay, we're on code. It's time to go to work, right? And it was just on and popping. And we do. The government was always in fear of that when they were doing COINTELPRO. When you read the records of J. Edgar Hoover, he was always saying that we're trying to stop the rise of a black messiah, because he
Hmm.
realized that with the right message coming from the right messenger at the right time, there's a vibration that we can't control as the government. So we need to identify who these people are that can do that. So they were looking for Martin. They started looking for Malcolm. They looked for Tupac. They looked for influential characters and personalities that can galvanize the masses.
Right.
Tupac could be dating Madonna, be in a Versace fashion show, be in prison, do a movie, be on a rap stage, all in one person, and still die at 25 and
Wow.
still be influential almost 30 years later. He's more
Wow.
influential longer than he even lived. So in that 3.5 years of work from 93 to about 96 when he died, 3.5 years of work is how much work he's put in there that's been influential for over 30 years. That's a special human being.
Absolutely.
And that's what the government was always afraid of, trying to identify the special ones
Hmm.
or to
Hmm.
find out who can tap into that energy
That frequency.
so they can control it.
That frequency. Yeah.
Right.
That's why I'm very careful, even on the spiritual tip, because that's why they discredit it so much as far as us tapping into that spiritual vibration. Because one day I'm gonna share a story with you guys about a young lady that's still on my page. Her name is Janice, a beautiful sister. Um, but I'm gonna share a story about frequency and me, her, and another young lady named Zephora or Zip. We call her Zip. All black girls, all from different backgrounds, and just experience we had. Well, and I'm gonna go into that on maybe like Souljet activation day. But yeah, it's the same thing with the drum. Just the power of the drum, the power of us coming together in song and dance even just brings that frequency. Everybody can feel it. But I mean, if you go to the streets of New York back in 85 and 84, 83, 86, where they break dancing, even in California, I mean, everybody's watching. The whites are watching, the blacks are watching, every race of people. It's just like chills going through our body just watching these people move in these ways, and bringing in that ancestral energy of the Africans and the Native Americans, are the Aboriginal people, because all of that comes from, you can go back and trace back in Africa the same movements and things that we didn't even know. People spinning on their
Right.
head and doing all kind of things that what's his name, Crazy Legs,
Yeah.
that he had spoke on. I think he did like a documentary and showed the difference, between Africa and um Americans. And then I've seen it also with the native dance, the backslide, which they call the moonwalk. So it's all in
Right.
there. It's in church. Church could be considered a gang in some ways. We have the West African drum count still in the rhythms, where some people get The spirit is awakened. They trying to dull it in churches now, but that's powerful ish. Did you have anything else you wanted to add about the gang culture? Anything else with Kendrick?
No, but I just want to be able to ask you a question too. Do you think when you do find special, ones who just kind of have more influence or that's those kind of abilities, do you think that that's something that's developed, or do you think that that's something that's born, that just emanates from them naturally, whether when they grow up and they become a certain age, it just kicks in? I don't know, but do
I
you think
think it's
that's something that's taught or
it
something that's natural?
yeah, because a lot of us are born with gifts and a lot of us are special, but everybody don't break waves or break through. They got so much talent that never is even discovered. And that goes back to me again to that will of God. Certain times and energies that when they were born, like a Beyonce, even though she's a Virgo, like a Michael Jackson. And I say like a Virgo because a lot of Virgos have a hard time with certain things, but some of them will break through. A Nas, but Nas didn't get the fame that Beyonce got. So what makes her different than, or whatever it is. And they got people that I know can sing like Beyonce and they don't even want to sing. They're in church or just, singing around the house or whatever. So the thing is, they're chosen for something. I mean, brother Bobby Hemmett spoke on it. He said like people like stars and he said people that are actually evolved, some of them are considered gods, and they come back and they have less obstacles than other people. Even a Donald Trump. Look at all of the things that he's done. That's written. Whether people like it or not
Yes,
or don't like it, that's who he's supposed to be. I mean, like about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, he said he never even wanted to be a president. But it was already kind of a thing that it was. And look at how he's dodged all kind of bullets, and I mean he just done a lot of things. And
yes,
he's still floating.
yes,
So that's definitely a frequency. Harriet Tubman, she's a superstar. She's that. She is that. No, she's well known, renowned. She did it in that period. It was meant for her to be
yes,
that. Nat Turner. But and I say Harriet because think about all she's done. She started off as a slave, escaped and had bounties on her head, turned back around and was working for the union labor or whatever. She was a spy and a nurse and all kind of stuff in the war. Came out and was a black entrepreneur, had her own business as far as the elderly people and the misplaced slaves can go and retire and rest and take care of them. And she even got that her pineal gland that where her skull was cracked. She finally got brain surgery. I mean, they was ready to put her on some money, and we talking about a slave. So what kind of start did she have with her? And I did a whole thing on
good
Harriet. You
point.
remember back last year, about the spiritual component to that family and just what was going on there. We all don't have the same experiences. That's let me just say this. This is why I push frequency so much when I tell people to wade in the water. And sometimes we have to choose our battles because even in slavery, everybody wasn't created equal because they had people that had
Correct.
different experiences depending on the frequency you were blessed with, like a Phyllis Wheatley, who only lived in a small house with two people. She wasn't going through what they were going through on a Brodus plantation. She was able to write a book. The first black poet in America that was able to be published and write a book in the 1700s. So yeah, that's like a ball player. They got a lot of boys that can play, but what gave that kid that ability to just be that guy, just naturally since the time they was 2, 3 years old. You just put a,
So
just
would you say it could be like a mixture of both? Like
absolutely.
if you find a gifted shooter like Steph Curry, it can't just be a coincidence that he's the son of an NBA player who was proficient at shooting and was well known in the NBA realm, but yet it is the natural gift of Steph Curry, but the conditions that helped him bring those talents out. The greatness of him.
That's the
So you
divine
mix them
inheritance.
both,
That's the
right?
super child. That's the divine inheritance. Because some gifts aren't from our
Break that down
star.
for me. What'd you just call that?
I called it the divine inheritance. Because some things like myself, I mean, I'm not rich by no means, but there's certain things where people may look at my life as charmed or something because of the parents I had. It's the work that they put in. They were superstars in their own right in certain things. So I was automatically blessed with certain things. And I don't know why, but we inherited. We can't choose the hand we're dealt, like Blue Ivy. Who knows what that baby gonna turn out to be? But you could say, well, she had help. But what about Willow Smith? The girl is brilliant. I mean, brilliant. And I'm excited to see where she's going and what type of energy and music. She's becoming a prolific musician. Well, you can say, well, her parents had money. Well, she's still able to take those gifts and be able to enact it. She has the divine inheritance, kind of like white folks. They ain't some of them ain't did nothing to be rich, but they got the divine inheritance of all of the damn stuff we did,
This is true.
of their
Right.
ancestors to be able to enjoy this lifestyle.
No,
That's
thank you for breaking that down. Yes, that's exactly what I'm kind of looking for, that kind of a breakdown. Thank you.
hmm even your children. I mean, you had girls and you love sports. And I saw how you posted your baby online, and it was just in her, in them to do what they want to do, and they're girls. I mean, come on, But it
Very
was
true.
something. It was a divine spark within them that they got from you, because I'm sure you had it going on in there with the sports. I know you had it going. You know, it was embedded in them. You know how my mom them was sports, people. I just was a girl, so I would just kind of tone it out. But that's what I'm saying. It resonated with them in that space to be able to do that. But I think that's why we get pushback sometimes from families, because even if you take a Fred Astaire, he got his moves and stuff. His sister was supposed to be the better dancer. She had to give first, and she never got to see. They never even got a recording of her, but he got to do grand things. And then you could take a what's his name, Reggie Miller. Cheryl Miller was the girl. She was that girl, but
That's
she
right.
only was that girl to be that spark for her brother. So he got the divine inheritance of having his great sister too, and to be able to go in further what he has in the world and be who he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did see that this week. I'm glad we talk about a lot of current events. I saw that this week with Sterling Sharp. He was inducted into the Football Hall of Fame, and he's the older brother of Shannon Sharp. We all know Shay Shay of Shannon Sharp. And Shannon Sharp got into the Hall of Fame already, but he said he was so happy that his brother got acknowledged, even though it's after him, he got acknowledged because he said, because big bro, you didn't have a blueprint. I had a blueprint. I had you as an older brother, so I knew exactly what to do, where to go, and how to do it. And I saw you almost had to be perfect, but you didn't have Google, GPS, MapQuest, or nothing. You were the firstborn, and everything that you did, grandpa and grandma always said that I had to follow what you did. So you had to be perfect. You laid out a pathway for me to make the Hall of Fame. And although you had a neck injury and your career was cut short, I followed your blueprint, found the success, and now you get to reap the benefits that the whole world can see how great you are. And I think that that definitely works. Janet was able to study her brother and to say, this is what you do, this is what you can't do, under the same pressure, under the same parents, Joe, right? But be able to find that blueprint and walk through that pathway to make it easier for what God blessed you with as a sibling. Doesn't mean that Tito had to go through it. It just means that if you apply the skills, that you can still be able to reap the benefits of your greatness.
Absolutely. And also, that's a good point. Like Michael Jackson, a divine inheritance. I mean, the daddy was a musician. He had dreams. He tried his band. And so sometime we have to even look at it back to our ancestors, where we are the living manifestation of some of many of their prayers, rituals, uh, things that they overcame. And they could sing and stuff back then. I mean, those slave fields sound like choirs, like a cappella choirs. Some of the white people could tolerate it and some can't. But
Right.
at least they allowed us to, uh, because that's what kept them going. So some of those things they never got to live. I mean, when you could see it in the Tokyo Tony, in the way she do Black China. We just didn't have the same tools that some of our kids and stuff have now, and we can't be mad at that. You know me. I wanted to rap and do this. I still rap, but you know what I mean. We didn't. If I was a teenager at 14, the way I used to be on fire back then and had all of these tools, who knows? But that wasn't the timing for that. That's not what a will was. We born in different eras and in times where the wheel is turning, and this is the reality. That's that. It is what it is. So we don't always get a chance, but we plant those seeds. Some of the gifts we have is to inspire other people to, tap into their gifts and things like that. So,
I love to hear Janet and Jermaine and them talk about their family tree when they talk about how, Stevie Wonder's their cousin and
Mm.
Samuel Jackson is their cousin. And
Wow.
um, who's the sister that sings "You Got a Fast Car"? She's a songwriter.
Oh, not Tracy Chapman.
Tracy Chapman. That's her
Wow.
cousin. So they talk about their family tree, and that greatness comes through those genes, And when I opened up the genealogy of Michael Jackson, I put it on my website. They come from that Choctaw line. It's a very distinct chief Choctaw line, which is even how the name Jackson came into play. So they talk about their
Mm.
ancestor July, who was the son of a medicine man. He was a very famous medicine man within the Choctaw Nation. So this greatness comes up through the ancestors, and it's expressed in ways that we can't even explain. But the bloodlines, it comes out. Stevie Wonder is one of my absolute favorites, right? Michael Jackson is a superstar. Janet's a superstar. These are very, very unique people, but they're still people, and
They're
they're still
people.
connected to. There's still some cousins, right? So everybody has the same amount of ancestors.
And they're only superstars because they're given a platform. I mean,
Yes,
we have so many people like in the hood that can do all kind of stuff and nobody ever seen it. Can sing in ways and people like, oh my God, you should have heard the way this, but it just never happened. For those people that wasn't the destiny. It's so many of us that are stars. But just on just I'm a Jackson on both sides. It's so funny. I don't think I'm related to Michael Jackson, but my family in Louisiana, when we went to the reunion, my daddy is related to the Jacksons by marriage. This goes all the way back to his great grandmother. And my
uh-huh.
grandmother on my mama's side is a Jackson. So I don't know if that's just a popular name in that time, or what that is. Cause I don't, cause I go by normally, I'll tell y'all Simeon and Gallian and Richardson. That's the names that you generally hear me if I, speak to that,
Yes. Hmm.
but that's deep.
Jackson's one of
So
the surnames that come through the bloodlines, right?
So
Hmm.
who knows, I mean, and then they was then from the plantation, we didn't necessarily have to be just blood related. Sometimes we were given names just because that's
Correct.
how they did it. Yeah,
Correct.
so yeah, you seen Trump was at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's making his rounds. Yeah, I saw him.
Making his rounds. Yeah. So what do you think of all of this stuff that's going on right now in our country? I mean, it's a lot going on. I mean, I don't want to end the live without talking about the climate of America right now.
It's
You
a
know,
lot of extremes that are taking place. I'm seeing a lot of radical things. Donald Trump wanted to make sure that he put, particularly this time, because this is his 4 years, and when you kind of realize that there ain't nowhere else to go, you all in. And I really think perhaps I would hope that he learned a lesson his first go round, that he was too firm. If you don't let people express themselves, this ties into a question that you just put in a few minutes ago earlier about, we live in a country where you can express yourself. If you don't let people express themselves and the freedom that they have, you're going to have war and chaos on your hands. And that first go round, he kept so much pressure and so much of a proverbial foot on black people's necks and on other people's necks. He didn't give us room to breathe. So it exploded. Capitals got taken over. It was a really reckless thing. I think this go around, he's realizing that it is a tea kettle and you have to release to let the freedom out, to let people express themselves and not just subdue. There's other people from the other side, the ops, who subdue a lot. This is what we say, or you're canceled. You're going to respect this, or you're canceled. You're going to push this agenda, and if you're in opposition, we'll cancel you. Those are
right.
bullies. So he's realizing that, okay, there's a fine line that you can walk to still get things done. But I'm seeing signs being taken off of federal buildings,
Mm,
seeing people losing their jobs, their government jobs for 20 and 30 years overnight, funds that are taken away, people being deported. It's a lot of radical things that are taking place. So from what I'm able to
absolutely.
see, I'm seeing a lot of people blaming black people for a lot of things that ain't our fault. I'm just keeping it,
Like what?
and I don't appreciate it.
Like what?
Like what? I'm seeing a lot of Latinos that are dragging us into a conversation that we did not ask for. We're not the people who are pushing these laws. We as a body of people are not responsible for putting that government in place, but them as a body of people are responsible for putting that government in place. There was a record number of Hispanic people that voted for Donald Trump this go round. A record number. That means that they knew, because Donald Trump did not mix his words on what he was running on. He was running on immigration. He was running on funds, government funds that were being allocated falsely, billions upon billions of dollars being run out. And he said, I'm going to correct it. I'm going to shut down, whether it's IRS or whoever's guilty of it. I'm going to reel this all back in, and I'm going to put people that I trust in the position, Elon Musk, etc., because he has enough money that you can't buy him. He has money, so you can't bribe him into pushing something. Even if I agree or disagree with the decisions that are made, I agree with that he's not to be bought.
That's a good point because he's already that. Was he like a billionaire or something like that?
Tesla alone is worth over $1 trillion. Tesla
Whoa.
alone, not
I'm
even
talking, oh, you
counting.
talking about Elon Musk, not Trump. You
I'm
saying
talking about
Elon Musk
Elon
got
Musk.
money. Yeah.
Elon Musk, Tesla is already $1 trillion company, not even counting his space program and his other ventures. So he has more money than anybody that could try to bribe him, to the point of him being insulted. so like I said, and Trump wanted to make sure he put key people into certain positions for a specific reason. I don't know what those reasons are, but I do know that we're being dragged into a conversation that does not pertain to us. What is your
Right.
take on some of the things that you're seeing also, sis?
Well, Elon Musk is always kind of like a little trigger for me, but um I think I'm glad I don't, you know what? I'm so out of the loop. When I started feeling the climate, some things I'm not in the loop on because I don't always watch the news. I really don't. But I have to make sure with a platform that I still stay relevant to what's going on around me. You can't just barricade yourself in a pair, in some kind of isolated place and you don't know what the ops doing
Can't
on the
be in a
outside.
bubble, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, it's hard. It's a thick climate because you may know people that are being affected by certain things or whatever like that, but I just don't know what to do as far as that because we have so many other things that's ahead of us. And one of my things that I do use my platform for is spiritual liberation and mental soundness. So I feel like one of the biggest fights that we have right now is our own mental health and our own healing and learning how to unify within ourselves, and in order for us to tackle bigger things and other parts of what's going on in our world. I think that whatever they believe in and they need to stand and fight on it, that's for them to do. I'm not mad at that because I just know that there's more to come. And this is just like Diddy. Diddy isn't the devil, like he's the epitome of evil and all of that. It's more things that put Diddy in place. And so many people don't, they want to find that scapegoat or find these certain things and people to target. But I think that it's going to be interesting. Like, what do you think overall of this Trump administration? Though, do you think? I know. How do you think it's going to change our world? Like even with the deportations and just things in the economy. And I'll get to Elon Musk shortly. But How do you think that's going to?
I think ultimately it's a nudge that's going to enact a change, and I think a change was necessary.
I
When
do
I
too.
look at the tens of millions of dollars that were going out to things like condoms in Gaza, and
Mm,
things that they're addressing right now, like the military spending that was going out by billions and billions of dollars, that needed to be addressed,
I agree.
because it was so business as usual that it was a bleeding that we didn't even see as
Right.
taxpayers, right?
Right.
And as well as funds that should be allocated to things like reparations and a lot of other more productive things, like a proper infrastructure of our nation. whether it's highways, whether it's homelessness, whether it's things that are tangible that need to be changed. How dare somebody take our money and be using it for, such frugal and useless things?
Stuff that has nothing to do with building us as a country. So where I'm
Nothing.
at with this whole thing with Trump and stuff is I'm really just like I told people, just go ahead and get into the space of the divine. When I say acceptance, I'm speaking to choose your battles. If you feel like you need to fight or do whatever, then do what you do. But there's more things that are taking place. There's spiritual components and elements that are also taking place. And I know that we were in the U.S. Pluto return, which deals with a cycle from 1776 when this power was allotted to the people who got had they were endowed with this power. It was permitted. Nobody came and stopped them or anything. It was permitted, right? So part of the will still, in order for us to be
Yes.
just everything that's happened, everything just it unfolds in the way it does. um we have to build a modern world and come just certain technologies that had to come into place and stuff like that. So in this space it's just more of a like I said, my thing is still making sure we're not wasting energy on fights that's not productive, and to work on our physical healing, our mental healing. Um, just the way when we begin to see just even changing how we think in our thought process, our world will change. A lot of the stuff we do isn't ignorant, it's ignorant. It's some ignorant stuff going on with the way we think. You hear certain people say, and I'm not saying we as in me and you, but we as a whole collective, and things that we glorify and things that we put our energy on and energy to and stuff like that, because there's still this war going on. But I think we did a lot of our fighting already. We've been fighting even back since 2012, just in the modern times. I mean, it goes way, we never stop fighting if you want to, So, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, we've done our fighting already. That's a very profound statement that you make, and I'm in agreement with you 100%. For us, um, we as a body, you and I and us, we're battle tested. So there's other parts of the population, they're code red. Take the chains off the door. The enemy's here, right? They're stand by me moment. But for us, we're battle tested. So for us, yeah, it's code red for you, but it's Monday for me. I ain't worried about nothing that you talking about,
That
right?
part.
He wasn't
Yeah, that
about
part.
none of the
Clock it.
battles that we fought.
Clock
We
it.
went through the civil rights.
Yeah,
I wasn't nowhere around.
right.
We took the hoses, we took the dog bites, we took the back of the bus, we took the colored only, we took the lynchings, we took all of the above, didn't blink. We went to Jim Crow, y'all wasn't nowhere around. We went through the slavery, y'all wasn't nowhere around. We went through all of that. So to you it's code red, to me it's a Monday, and I ain't worried about nothing. And as a collective, we've all just decided to sit back,
It's tea
right?
time.
Sit,
It's tea
sip our
time.
collective lavender teas and mind our own business.
That's all
Because
we can do is mind our black business. Mind our own black ass business,
our
as
own black
I
ass
used to say.
business. What Steve Fogelty taught me was that whenever you see two white people argue, you sit back and you learn and you observe. And that's it. And that's what we're doing as a body. And that's a breath of fresh air. Let y'all fight your own battles and work it out as we sit back, because we're learning how we can navigate. And to be honest with you, we're kind of that leaf in the wind that's in a really sweet spot right now. Since we are battle tested, we're not taking up for other people who's fighting their own battles, letting them carry their own bag. And for us, we're like, you know what? We tired of fighting for y'all. Y'all didn't
Hmm.
appreciate that. Y'all never said thank you. When we was out here suffering and we couldn't get no minority grants, y'all weren't cutting us in on any of that. Y'all was taking those loans, y'all was taking those grants, y'all kept it moving. So I would say that for us, we're just in a space right now to where we're focusing on what's going to be best for us as a people, unapologetically. So I think that that's very, very important, and I don't think that we should have to apologize for us just wanting to do what's in our best interest. That's the space that we're moving in. And, so we can just respectfully say unapologetically, that has nothing to do with us.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, my little sister came was kind of coming in, and I'm like, I'm
No,
in
it's
my
fine.
live
Family first. I
explaining
understand.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, no problem.
she yeah, family. I've been saying family is medicine. It's been a lot of that, and I tell people if you have an opportunity to heal the ones that want to come together and build. Like the time frame, the time is changing right now. You guys, it's like we in that, if it's the quickening, we're in the quickening. That's why the years are going so fast. I could just remember chilling
Yeah.
on live and stuff doing Metaphysical Monday while I was like in the first parts of that in 2023. And now we're in 2025. So time is just constantly moving.
Good point.
If you had one word to describe Trump, what would it be?
One word to describe Trump. I would probably say devil.
You say devil? Okay. I was actually gonna say interesting. He's an interesting individual to me. I don't know what other I mean, yeah, he is the he is a devil because he plays devil's advocate. He loves this. I don't Do you think he's on the side though? Or do you think his side is just to be a catalyst to rattle stuff up here in this country?
I think the devil is used for God's will. And I think that the devil's necessary in order to challenge God's message and God's intent.
Mm,
I don't think the devil is quote unquote anybody that can do something to you unless you allow them to do it to you. The devil has to request permission.
absolutely.
And that's what the Bible teaches you, right? The Bible, the devil is constantly like a temptation. Just take this
Right.
deal here, and this will be so much easier for you. Don't you want my wealth? Don't you want my ease? Don't you want
Mm.
my access and my abilities? Just
And
do this,
that's interesting. Really
right?
interesting.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that the devil is something that you fear. I just think the devil is something that allows for God to actually show and prove that God is what they say that they are. You know,
And then you can take it a little deeper too with that. And thank you for that because that's facts. We can't, we have to entertain. Even in the vampire world, they used to say in the 80s in those movies that a vampire can't come in unless you invite them. So
yes,
it's the same type of vibe. But even like in African spirituality, there's no devil. And it's because even when you saying if you let them in, remember we have that double side of our duality. So the more we overcome, that's why I said it'll flee from you because we have that power. We have to take responsibility and accountability for that devil that sometimes comes within us, that part of our nature that can be devilish. So I thought that was interesting that you said that about really the discernment part. Sometimes we got to discern ourselves. Like, should I be having these thoughts? Is this something I should be? Should I be entertaining this or not? Because I mean, people can think crazy. The mind is a factory of all kind of stuff, but that don't mean we
right.
all gonna go out and act on some of the crazy stuff that can come into our mind. Like it's probably many people that's wanted to just say, "I'll murder," want to kill somebody or something.
I think there's an honesty in Trump. I think there's an honesty. I respect the fact, Malcolm always described it, whereas the Republicans are a wolf and the Democrats is a fox. If you're a wolf, I understand. You're here in front of me. I know what your intent is. I'm gonna eat you. A fox is real slick. They try to be nice and liberal and think that their intent is different when actually they're just as vicious, if not more vicious, than the wolf. So I respect the fact that the person will stand in front of me, tell me what they're going to do, and then give me the choice,
Right?
right?
Yeah,
So there's
absolutely.
a respect that's there, and I think he respects honesty. I think he respects warriors and those who will be honest with him, not just yes men.
I think that's part of that New York in him too. Just to be real frank and direct, and
There's a
sometimes the way he
toughness in
delivers
that, a New York
messages is really
toughness.
hard. But take it or love it. Like, hate it or love it. Yeah, that's deep. Yeah, and I think there's an honesty with it too, and that's the whole thing that I was speaking on when I told you guys that in this new world that we live in when we're talking about duality, people are operating openly and unashamed in that cloak, from up under the cloak. See, for many years and many centuries, we, even with hoodoo and stuff like that, we hid or operated what they call under Mary's skirt. And that's what we have
Yes.
to hide our beliefs and practices in the guise of Christianity. That's how it was. And most people with these dignities and niceties and all these other things, and our, this image that we have in America, we tend to try to cover, and I always speak to that. Shit, we cover certain things for different reasons, or we were taught to. What goes on in this house stay in this house, all those types of energies, knowing that somebody may have a questionable, at the time, sexuality, when that wasn't permitted, but nobody questioned it. Don't ask, don't tell, whether it's military or whatever. And it's the same
Yes.
with people doing bad deeds to other people. And you know it. I've been in management, and I know when people are gonna fire and let go. I've seen them destroy people. They'll tell you something like, hey, keep her on for 2 more weeks. We're gonna let her go next Tuesday once we find a replacement. And this person has no clue that the axe is coming down. So we can
Yes.
all,
Yes.
so we all have these, things we put into this cloak. Trump is a part of the ninja energy, where they say we just don't give a damn and we tan. And I mean the white ones, the black, whatever, that energy of that demon time. He's on
Yep.
that demon time
Yep.
frequency because he don't give a damn about the cloak or what things they carefully put into a box or a category. He's like, the way the world's moving. It's almost crazy. Like, it is what it is. So you take it the way you want to take it. And at least we know what to do in that period. We see what is before us, right? So I'm not saying that the revolutionary black person is not needed, the ones that speak on banging on the beats and all of that. But what I am saying is, like, I always got to go back to what Knowledge Born said about the war. I asked them, what do soldiers do when there is no war? They prepare for war. So there's still certain things that may need to be reworked and re-strategized. Just like playing a game. When the coach has certain plays that you play, a playbook, a book. So we don't need to just necessarily act in our anger. See, Ogun in African spirituality, that's the black and green for those that's on cold, with the
Yes.
energy of Ogun, the war energy. See that even in that, it's a war energy because that's necessary on this planet. But what Ogun teaches, because he also deals with anger and stuff like that, the jail and the police, because it's metal. So he deal with the jail cells, the police, even Rex, right? But what he teaches us is, because you can get away with a lot of things being angry. Angry don't necessarily mean you're a bad person. Anger don't necessarily mean a bad thing. But what the
Right.
child of Ogun has to remember, the lesson is to never let your anger supersede your intelligence. And that's what I'm saying to our people on a collective level with anger. We can all get angry. And and then we'll end up, the cops can shoot you, then your protest is over with. So all
That's
of this
right.
shit you
That's
had
right.
inside of you, it stops there. It ends there because you did something that ain't even thought out. You just moving in a way that's not strategic, or old strategies that need to be thrown out in order for us to huddle back together and see how we need to move as a community. You
That's
know,
correct. Yes.
so that's not my only thing. I don't like senseless things. I'm a very logical kind of person. And to be a woman, almost too logical sometimes. I've been told that. But it gotta be logic, to
I think that
kind of
comes
work
with
through.
wisdom and age too. We kind of pick and choose our battles when we're able to look at things through the panoramic view as opposed to the narrow view. When we're younger, we're kind of more with a laser like focus, kind of
Mm-hmm.
locked into dealing with things a
Mm-hmm.
certain kind of a way. As we
Right.
get older, when we get wiser, we're able to kind of look at both sides of something and say, okay, I can kind of give up this battle over here so we can win the war over there. We
And
start
that's a
thinking
good point, because I
more
thought I was
strategic.
logical when I was radical. It was
Hmm.
logical to me. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? But, and I would be mad at my elders, like, why y'all not fighting? Why y'all got perms and stuff? Y'all supposed to still, I used to be, But we live and we learn, because you exhaust yourself. The path of the revolutionary, the path of the military soldier, the path of the fighter, even people that do street fights, the path of the gangster, it wears you down. The path of hatred,
Yes.
the path of least resistance. I'm a rebel in that sense, because once you start going in that direction of least resistance, I'm sorry, of resistance, not least resistance, of resistance, it's almost like, especially if you see any success in that, to maintain it, you got to keep going in that direction. It don't get easier because there's always, you have your moments, but it's always something that's going to push you back. It's that pushback.
Yes.
So your life is always a constant fight and battle. So it's about knowing when to choose those battles. That's what I mean by divine acceptance. Not just being passive and letting people run over us and being stupid, but coming to a place where we can heal. So those roots, because sometimes we have misplaced anger in our movements and stuff. So our roots, we got to get to the root cause of the anger. It may not be because 500 years ago we were, I mean, that's all plays a part in it, but that's not the exact thing that's bothering you today, sir.
No, you got to
You
get
are,
into
or
the source.
ma'am.
You got to identify the source.
Yes, it ain't today. Ain't nobody told you to go slap 10 white kids because of slavery 300. What's your deal? What is it? Did you not get, so some of the things we have to, that's the change, what we accept what we, you know, the things that we cannot change. And the courage to change what we can, and the wisdom to know the difference is such a key component to me, because we do have to have that wisdom, like you said, that comes with age and time and everything. But I know we've been on a good little minute. So just on before we get off though, what do you think about Elon Musk, man? So who's going to Mars with Elon Musk? Is that, do you think that's just something for white folks or very rich people? Or he trying to take us all? Is he gonna move the hood to Mars? And I'm being, this is rhetorical, but it's still a question. What do you think about that? The Mars project?
I think it's fascinating.
Very.
There's some things, whereas with Elon Musk, I know we were pointing out before, white people are very peculiar. They're very curious, always nosy, and and that nosiness, it can be a driving force
They
of
can.
challenging one's greatness. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that for him, he has dreams, he has visions, he has things that he wants to use his resources to do. And Mars is one of those things, whereas he has the ability to put contraptions up in space, and that's an uncharted territory that he's very curious about. It is kind of fascinating because just Mars itself, Mars is named after a god,
Mm-hmm.
and Mars is a god of war,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um God, Mars being a god of war, I don't know. Elon Musk is just he's an interesting individual.
Yeah.
Not the
I
devil,
I
but
can't.
I think he's using um his access to resources, whether it's in the government, whether it's what he wants to do on different planets. I think ultimately he's identified, probably through some of the contraptions of what he has up there in space, there's going to be some rich, valuable minerals that he's able to find.
Absolutely.
Those
I
kind of
want
people.
to.
Yeah,
I understand. He's very interesting. He's
yeah.
definitely an interesting
I don't think he
individual.
would invest billions of dollars unless it was a payoff somewhere. So I
Well,
do. There's some kind of material on that planet that he's trying to get access to, and he wants to have exclusive rights to. That's my
well,
belief.
I want thank you for that. Elon Musk just gets me going because I feel like he's like he about as genius as Willy Wonka and Walt Disney. I mean what Disneyland did is amazing, right? But
Yes,
I think that's what Willy Wonka has done. That was a crazy, that was a crazy movie, right?
exactly.
But yeah, Frankenstein was an interesting creation too. I'm just saying, I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave that there because I definitely want to go deeper into Mars. If there's anybody watching, because I know I've seen some interesting minds that have come onto, they've sent me friend requests and stuff, and some of them are kind of, the way I think it's a little out there, radical sometimes. I try to be diverse and give everybody an opportunity to talk, but I would definitely like anybody that's interested in building more on this Mars project, even if we're talking about it now, but if there's anybody that'd like to come on and even do a panel just to talk about it, because it would challenge a lot of the things that we know to be true. First of all, like you said, Mars is the planet of war, right?
Yes,
So then would that undo what the scandals are about us ever even going to the moon or even leaving this atmosphere? I mean, what if the Mars project with something like and this is just me on some critical thinking stuff, just what you call it, abstract thinking. What if Mars represented some type of a war they're about to bring? Because even being in the war frequency, like what, It's just interesting to me, and I'm not saying that that's because I haven't did the research. So now I need to do the science more on the evolution of where Mars is, because that's supposed to be a burnout planet from what we've heard from the gods and all of these things. Back in the times of like with Marduk and all of those kind of, or just and that from Atlantis and things like that. That doesn't mean it can't regenerate itself, but
No,
I'm just
they have
speaking to.
identified that there was a water source, on Mars, and they found, the oceanic patterns of water existing on Mars. So if
Okay,
there's water that exists, that's an
there's
indication.
life.
Exactly, there's an indication of the potential of life, and with that, again, there's going to be materials there, and I don't know what materials that they found there, but I just think that there's some type of a resource that can be tapped into that could either be used on some other level. Again, a person just isn't going to throw away billions of dollars unless there's a payout. For him to be that interested in that location, there's something in that location that's going to financially benefit him.
Yeah, well, on that note, since I haven't did the full science, um, and I don't want to just go based on conspiracy theories and just my personal feelings for Elon Musk. I'm not a fan, but I don't like him. I don't even want to say I don't like him. He is a South African after all. No, but, but whatever the case, I'm gonna just say I need to do more research on the Mars project because he's speaking to 8 years. So if he was to successfully get people to Mars, who do you think? What would that look like? Who would be going to Mars? Do you think they would just leave us here to just be in the dying planet, or probably
I
the
think
very
there would
rich?
be one or two celebrities, because you would have to add some kind of eyes on the project just for bragging rights alone.
Hmm.
I think that you would be finding some of the great minds who would be able to kind of make use of being in that area, or people that they've identified as geniuses
Hmm.
to, to
Exactly.
to take that kind of a trip, as well as again some type of material experts, people who understand topography and
Hmm.
understand how the earth, or how land, how you can extract things from
Right.
things. I think they would put in those type of experts to kind of put their collective minds together.
I mean, this is interesting. Even when we talk about all of this stuff that we learned from like the master teachers before us and stuff, and just things that we, certain predictions and stuff like that. This is a lot. It's a lot because we got all of these things, and I mean, should we? We need to even think back on certain things in that space. Should we even, that brings to the last topic of religion, the God source, and spirituality. Is this still relevant, like the things that we've learned even in the old texts and stuff, based on what's moving? Or a lot of people think, a lot of us, because I mean, I used to literally think that blacks and whites would be in the street just having this big old fight. That never happened, but they too intertwined, so that's what I used to think, that there was going to be this big old battle. But it's so much division. So do there's people out there now that's thinking like there's gonna be some God force or something that stops the plans of the devil and all of that. So it's just a lot. I think these are exciting times to live in. And so
Agreed.
so do you think that that's gonna rival religion? Because I what I feel is we're going into the Aquarian age. We're already going into the age of the mind, and or is it gonna evolve the religion, or would AI become the new God? You know?
I do think we should keep an eye on AI as far as the way that technology is used, because there will be a realm where AI will kind of be so autonomous that you really won't be able to kind of tell. Uh,
Reality from what is false.
yeah,
Once
exactly.
they improve it, because right now people are already starting to get sick of AI, like with stuff like
Right.
changing up things and falsifying photos and videos and creating things that aren't real. I mean, it could be fun. Again, we talking about Elon Musk and stuff. It's fun for the imagination and make believe and shit. Because I'm gonna tell you one of the things that stood to me as we went through this, on the transgender tip. Even Trump, he got his views on that. But I
Yes.
felt like a lot of it, because I'm not really for unless you're needing it. I don't believe in mutilation of yourself. I know some people are about that, but I don't believe in self-harming yourself in any kind of way like that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
That's why I still
Yes.
got this big nose, that I'm proud to have. I just, when people do what they do, I ain't gonna
Yes.
go get no BBL. I'm gonna keep my teardrop. You get what I'm
Yes.
saying? My
Hmm.
point, you get what I mean? No, I'm not. I felt like once we got into that, just different identifying certain things like that, and it was so easy for the government to get on board with these, just quickly changing people. It got us involved in a lot of false realities. Not
That is
just that.
correct.
I'm just using the transgenderism as an example, because the next thing they were moving into at the same time, they were trying to get AI to be more fluid in the speech patterns and things like that.
Correct.
I talked about Bina, I think it's Bina 39. I talked about projects like that. Actually, the man that created Bina, she's supposed to be from Compton, but there's no information on this woman, And when I get back, like I said, maybe in a more of a technology build, whoever's on, we could build more on that. But it's just a thing where it's just like, like where does it, where does it stop, or where does it take us, with everything, because they moved into they're moving into transhumanism, and that's what we're getting into, where we're dealing with AI at its finest. They can't really do it
Right.
now. I mean, we're used to seeing people, we can't identify genders no more, and nobody, we can't even identify it. Then how you gonna even identify the robots? Or how you and the only reason why we can now, because like I said, it's that mechanical way that they are, but once the speech pattern is fluid and they get more, with the skin and all of these other things, which they're already successfully doing, it's gonna
Correct.
be an interesting world we live in. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
I agree. And like I said, as you start seeing how that technology kind of merges together into reality, it's easy to lose your way. Um, and and
Absolutely.
and and they're making the world so close together. They're inviting you to start eating synthetic foods. It's okay if this was grown in a laboratory. It's the same as X, Y, and Z. You have to make a conscious decision to say thank you, but no thank you. Right? I want real organic food, or
But then they
um,
clock in real organic food. Now they looking at how
right,
many seeds you grow and doing all of
and
these
they
other.
penalize you for natural. They penalize you for that.
Yeah,
Right? It
and we're looked
costs
up on
more.
as, yeah, some of the people called witches are just from living a natural life, and warlocks and stuff like that, just because they embrace the natural world as real. That's
Right.
authentic.
And the
I never
medicines that you put in your body, they're nanobots, and they're synthetic things or synthetic drugs that they're putting you in your body to make you comfortable with the synthetic world. So
right,
you have to make that decision to say, no, I'm not going to inoculate myself with this, or I don't like the synthetic sound of this music. I like to
right,
hear things more natural.
right.
Right? So we have to understand that there is that war that's going on, and
Hmm.
when AI kind of rears its head like this, we have to then just understand that. That's why I think spiritual growth is so important. It allows you to stay in tune with something that nothing else, no matter how robotic you can be, you'll never have a soul. You won't have a soul.
I was just about to say that it's the soul. And
Right.
that's why it's so important to tap in to what we call the intangible. What seems intangible, because that's the only place the authentic shit is still. It's in us.
That is
It's
right.
it's in us. We come out of the womb, we still, until we start adding and doing all these things to ourselves. This is why it's so important, because the dreams are gonna come, more visions are gonna come, the power in the force, things are already shifting to try to show us what is and what isn't. Certain realities we will have to accept, because that's just the new reality. Because the earth
And,
itself is going through a dimensional change,
and if
right?
you remember on that iRobot, the Will Smith movie,
Oh yeah, I remember
Sonny
I
was
Robot.
so different because he said, "I have dreams."
Mm,
Right. So
mm.
that really is what separates, right? Well, the synthetic world. No matter even because that fine line, you can never tap into. This is what connects us. You know what I
To the
mean?
creator, to our creator in our blood. When you
Yes.
talk about
Yes.
the
The
ancestors
ba,
speaking
the
through
ba, the
us,
kaba,
the
the ba
Kaaba,
is
the
the soul.
Merkaba, yeah,
Right.
all of this that's around us in this matrix. Very interesting. And then this kind of flowed good because we're like right where we're supposed to be at. Even with like we're a little bit like maybe a few minutes over on time from what I thought. Because I don't want to hold you up too long. But no, this is perfect though. And when we're talking about the soul, like that's why I was so against the metaverse, because they're creating a reality kind of like when I used to play The Sims. And I mean, I would never forget that season. Me, my son, and my sister, we would literally take turns, and we had that game going all the
Yes,
time, to the point where I didn't even know reality from fiction, because this is how long I would be on The Sims. I would wake up in the morning so tired. I'll be trying to click on humans. Walk in the street, I'm literally trying to click on them or click on things. And it's just my mind. Like I could click on them because I'm used to seeing the X on the person and
I
clicking to make them
understand.
do stuff. It's crazy. But if you
Hmm.
play video games, you know what I mean. But in that world, this is my question, because in the on the Sims game, the little people are constantly running. Even if you're not operating the game, your little characters you created, they're all in the village and in the town, and they're still interacting and doing all
Correct.
these things. So while we're sitting here with all these things on our head and watching this false reality, my question is this: what the hell are they doing in the real reality? What are they
In the
doing
real
while we're
world.
sitting here stuck with damn headphones and we so tapped into this other shit? What are they doing with the real world? You get what I'm saying? Why they got us all in a huddle because the real space still exists. So what y'all doing with that?
And
You
that's the
know?
key. When you ask about what Elon Musk is doing out there, see, we are pacified with X, that part of his empire. We're in that we're on his electronic pacifier, arguing, being, socially engineered, being mad, his talking points being pushed through, along with Zuckerberg's talking points pushed through. But they're in reality doing something else, and
Right.
that is the battle that takes place. We have to understand the game of what's being played and understand that we are in that Kendrick Lamar PlayStation. There's so many messages of what was trying to be told to us.
Even that, the game over.
The game
Um,
over, right?
okay, so even on that, because you did speak to that when you said what else did we see metaphysically, but even the game over, is it the game over? We could say it's for Drake, but the game can also be over for the game that's been played because we're awoke now. Even if they took internet from us, it's certain things, like I said before on our past bill, that they just can't take from us. It's already there. It's like viral. It's
Well,
viral.
that's why, Uncle
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson was letting him know in his
Uncle
Uncle Sam
Sam.
chat, you got to know how to play the game,
That's
is what he
it.
was saying in his Samuel L. Jackson way.
Yeah.
He's letting you know that there's a game that's going on and you have to play it a certain way. And he was giving you certain,
The game. The game of
right.
life. So
And
even with the purge and being in this season with us, because the purge was in the COVID era and stuff too, and it had a very, I'm saying the purge, I'm sorry, Squid Game. So
yes,
even though that's not our country, but we can still look at just that
it's coming
whole,
Korean perspective, but same thing.
yeah,
Yes,
of the Squid Game and just how they play with people, and things like that. So really, on that note, do you think that, I know there's going to always be people that still believe in God and have their, well, it's going to get hard though. That's why I was talking about the, making sure we're connected and stuff, because it's going to be times where it just don't, it could run you crazy. Because I mean, when you go up so much, it's hard to breathe up there or to understand, that's why the game is
yes,
on our mind. So sometimes you can get deep with that stuff. That's why I don't believe in extremism and religions and none of that, because that's the shit that can run you crazy. Just that alone. So we cannot be foolish because religions are man-made. Those are things that we
that's
adhere
correct.
to understand spirituality and to compartmentalize and understand nature and understand all of these things that the God source has, that divine knowledge, that one, conscious force that we're all connected to, has put in place. Religion has, I know a lot of people that, I'm not into religion like that, but for some people it's definitely needed, and it has been a part of the social order, as far as keeping people in order, giving people hope and different things, and also indoctrination, and for sometimes slavery too. Different reasons it's been used. Some of it is just for political, um things that we have to do politically, like in Zinga, Queen Nzinga becoming a Catholic just to keep the people, the Portuguese, off of her people, and
That's
to
right.
forge alliances with Rome and different things that people have done, like even with Shaka Zulu and just different things that was taking place from throughout history. So I think, do you think it's going to be more of an individual thing, or I don't know. That's just one I'm putting in the air for anybody that want to answer it. I mean, like, how relevant, with everybody just dismissing stuff, how relevant is church now, and even going to the mosque, or even spirituality of any type in the world we're in right now, and as it's going over the next like 10 years, even 10, 20 years,
think that a lot of people are fighting to stay in tune with the creator. And if, your religious philosophy allows you to do that, or your spiritual pathway allows you to do that, then use your faith as that vehicle in order to keep you connected to the creator. Because we're trying to make sure we find our way. For me personally, I never go too far from grandma and grandpa.
I hear you. Back to the basics. You got to wade in the water.
Correct. And the core values of what's been passed down from my ancestors, I try to stay and I fight to stay in tune with that. Those
Well, it's
values.
a structure. It's a structure for sure.
It
And people
is.
definitely need structures. However, I know it's going to be a lot of wild energy. I know it's going to be a period where things are being destroyed and desecrated in order for us to come back again. Some things are going to stay in place, but it's a lot of anger. So I used to be that. You know how I was, Ishmael. You've known me a long time online, and shit, you know me. So I had to grow in a lot of ways though to what's productive, for our people and where we are. But it's gonna be that crying and the gnashing of the teeth and all that stuff, because it's people's cognitive dissonance and beliefs being challenged to what we see that's happening in real life. So that's, I think we covered on that. And the last thing was literally black culture, the Moors, the melanated, just really speaking to the importance of conserving our energy right now and stuff. Where do you think we're going? Where do we fit in all of this? And if you just have something you want to add to that, and
I think conserving our energy is very important because we're surrounded by a lot of energy harvesting right now. We're surrounded by people who will try to vamp your energy and try to pull from it for their own survival. And if you're not aware of the spiritual leeches or those who will try to pull from your energy for their own survival, then you're not going to be you're doing yourself a disservice. So yes, preserve your energy. Again, unapologetically. This allows you to survive and to focus on the things that are important to you. But we're surrounded by people who will use our collective energy to survive, right? They always want to find out how they can involve themselves in our business. And we kind of make fun of it on social media. You'll see some of those videos that say, when you're black, you're never alone. Because there's always some white person all
Big
up
Brother
in
always
business,
watching, huh?
right? Because people try to harvest our energy, where we move, things that we do. They just nosy. And amongst each other, it's okay for us to focus on our family and our loved ones and not allow, because sometimes we become our own worst enemy and we beat up each other out of our own frustration.
Absolutely.
We have to
That's
understand,
facts.
yeah,
Yeah.
surround yourself around people that love you and people that can
Mm,
encourage you and give you the support that you need in your times of need. We need
right.
to do that.
And okay, so that's powerful. And I'm gonna just say this for me personally, I'm gonna definitely be tapping way more into for myself when I'm my area of study. Right now, I'm reading this. This was a gift from one of the soldiers, one of the supporters. And this is really really good, just really powerful in getting back to some of the stuff that we need to get to, but also just don't be an ignorant ninja, and this is to
What
the
was the name of that
collective.
book?
This one is called remembering, like going back to what we've remembering Osiris. So it's a book about the Osiris. It's written by this brother Ankh Binu, Binu, yeah. And so a lot of stuff it covers. Maybe I'll go over that one day too. Just kind of go through the book and just talk about it. But I definitely think that people need to go ahead and get back into to doing the real research, because even with the Mars thing, there's people now saying space isn't even real. So this is we got we got some stuff going on here. Now, I believe in the inter-earth beings. Elon Musk does not. Okay, so even stuff like
Yes.
that. So it's time for me. I'm not too big for it. It's time for me to go back into the things that I've even studied and just start doing some real research, because they're playing with our future. And as a teacher, as a priestess, as a healer, a part of a collective of teachers, healers, and ministers, and conscious people and revolutionaries, we don't want to keep giving out old information that is no longer. Maybe at a time that was so, but we need to see what is before us so we can make conscious decisions for our life and what we're going to leave behind for those that come after us. So that's what I really wanted to touch on, being more scientific with it and seeing what's going on in the world.
Yes, agreed. We have to move out on our own understandings and not be limited by somebody else's viewpoints.
Hmm. That
I don't
collective
value
that
other
holds
people's
us.
viewpoints. I move out on
Hmm.
my own understanding.
Absolutely. Well, I think we covered a lot. Thank you so much again for coming in. I want to thank all the viewers. I've seen a lot of numbers going in and out, so I can't really see the numbers. Um, but I just want to thank everybody, and we're back. I'm gonna be doing Metaphysical Monday every Monday. And if you are interested and you have something powerful to build on, community, culture, esoteric, spirituality, make sure you tap in, inbox, and come and build with us here at the New Soul Jet community, aka the Conscious Outcast Gang. And yes, once again, this is Brother Ishmael Bey. I give thanks. Is anything else you wanted to say, add, or close on, or?
No, Sister Soldier, I do thank you so much for allowing me to come onto the platform. You always are so welcoming,
Thank
in your
you.
words and in your spirit, and just for you to be able to invite me onto your platform, it really, really means the world to me. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
allowing me
I
to share
say,
this aspect of my my experience and my growth.
for
It's
sure.
a safe space. It's a space where we can have open and frank conversations, and we need to have more melanated conversations like this,
We do.
just to share and to grow and just to express the love that we have for one another. So I want
And
to
if
let
you're ever interested in doing a panel, it don't have to be long. We went a little longer tonight because it's just a good bill. It could be an hour long, 45 minutes to an hour, but just sometime, like I wanted to do once a month, what I was saying at the Metaversary, and just get some of the ones that's already built with us, and even some new minds to come in and just have, because if we're gonna be a community, even on the nation level or world level or whatever, what are people thinking right now? That was why I wanted to do this bill. What is our reality like? How is this right now? Things are still kind of like, I don't know, it's in the air, but we gotta wade in the water and just trust, man. Radical trust for the process. That's all I want to say. And I thank you again. And I'll talk to you. We'll be building soon. So
all right, peace and blessings.
peace and blessings. And make sure you share the live, and you can tell people how to find you if you want to do that. And yeah.
Absolutely. You can find me on firsttribenation.com and also on our Urban Indian Heritage Society and also on our Facebook. Easy to find. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it out, you guys. It's been a long live. Thank you, everybody that has tapped in from Calligraphy and Denim Designs. Thanks and shout out to Brother Ishmael Bey. This is the New Soul Jet Community, Conscious Outcast Gang Gang. And you can also find us on Calligraphy TV. Make sure you subscribe and join if you did like what you see. It's gonna be much more of that and a lot more other things. So peace. Ashe. Let me elevate your mind to the G state. I can hold your attention like booty shake. I can make you rise up like fire snake. Talking kundalini fire, let's keep it straight. Hit me first thing in the morning, that's wake and bake. I can make you feel great, frosted flakes. But when it's time to get up, don't hesitate. Time to go and get the money and you're running late. I know this honeycomb make it hard to concentrate. Close your eyes, breathe with me, king, meditate. And let our soul GPS start to navigate. All the bullshit every day we gotta regulate. Every move we make together gotta calculate. We build a house from the dirt to the picket gate.
say. If you got it for me, should've didn't dictate. I'ma listen, be a queen, be a helpmate. Can't nobody separate us, stuck duct tape. I love it so heavy, baby, we be pushing weight. The distance that I would go, man, interstate. Hold me tight and surrender to your interstate. Let a rise take our body to a higher place. I'm a goddess reflecting, you look up in my face. Every time we embrace, I want another taste. Take your time when we fucking, this is not a race. Go slow and deep in and take it to a faster pace. Got my body tied up, is a shoelace. Got to be rocking the drum, but it's a beat bass. Breaking up is no conversation, a closed case, nigga.